You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Welcome, everybody. Once again, we're finally back here on the shit list, aka the top 5, whatever you want to call it. Hopefully, this one won't get demonetized as they always do. I want to welcome back our producer extraordinary, right? Toxic Man Flu. How you doing, buddy?
Doing all right. Glad to be here. Good list this week. Monster movies. Should be a phenomenal discussion. Is that
Excellent.
or just a 5 guys in rubber suits? Whatever.
Both of these could be true. Both of them.
That's a different kind of activity in a dungeon.
Hello.
Hey now.
And also fresh out of the theater, we have Price, who just got to see The Godfather on the big screen. Lucky you.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was so cool. I mean, I've seen the movie a million times, but actually I've never seen it in a theater on a big screen.
Wow.
It was a packed theater too.
Yeah, it was there wasn't one empty spot. The whole place. I'm not saying it was like one of those like theaters that have 5 million people in it, but I've been to this theater where they had even new movies, and a lot of times I sit by myself in those kind of Madame Web or whatever it is. It was interesting that they had The Godfather and the place was packed.
Nice. Gone with the Wind was this weekend for me, but it was 4 hours and we just couldn't do it.
You'll get that in Vegas with Culture next week.
At least next month it's Steel Magnolias.
Oh God.
Oh.
And then the Muppet movies June 2nd and 3rd.
Oh,
so
right, there you go.
Oh, Muppet movie. I want to see that.
So it's from Muppets to Muppets then.
Yeah.
And June 23rd and 26th, South Park, bigger, longer.
Oh, wow.
Now it'd be really weird if it was Muppet Steel Magnolias.
That's that would
I'm
be
sorry
bad.
I gotta leave you, Gonzo.
It's okay. Cancer really sucks.
Steel Magnolias.
Yeah, Steel Magnolias. That of course is Brian, aka that 70s rock fan who wrote the book on it.
The book. Well, good evening, everybody, and what a fantastic subject this is, albeit almost impossible to pick 5 movies.
Yeah.
There are thousands, literally. And what are the rules? Do we leave out humans who are just really nasty? You could call them a monster. Humans that transform? Aliens? I mean, kaijus? What are they?
I thought about saying no aliens, and obviously, I mean, I figured nobody would think any like real animals technically would count. But I mean,
it's so difficult.
I made an exception to a point. So yeah, basically, as you could tell from the intro, yes, aliens were allowed, metahumans were allowed. Pretty much any beast or rubber monster you can think of is allowed in this list. Yeah. But we're going by movie, not actual monsters. We've actually talked about our favorite, I believe, aliens before.
Yeah, well, there's crossover. I mean, there was bound to be crossover. I've thought of leaving aliens out, and I just couldn't do it, literally.
Well,
I thought about it too.
Films. The first list was 5 films by Roger Moore, like, Bob and Me and all that other junk, and you wouldn't let
Roger and Me. No.
Roger.
Well, this is where I was disappointed because I thought you wanted to do this so you could put, all the Barbra Streisand films on it. Oh yeah,
or Barbra Streisand, yeah, because
Barbara.
My name is Bond, James Bond.
He's Micah Smith.
One of these days, I'm gonna have to let somebody else run the stream like Mikey, so you guys can do Bond films or something like that, because I'm sure that would be popular. It's just not my bag, baby.
You don't like Bond? You don't like Bond?
I didn't grow up with it. I've only seen like a couple of them.
Top 5 movies where Sean Connery slaps a woman.
There's
a
at least a
hard
few of
list.
those.
My top 5 list has to be all Sean Connery, I think. I don't think I can let anybody else on the list of Bond that's not.
Oh,
Lazy
no.
And that's why I'd
Beast.
have to let you guys have that debate. See, and I can't even get
Yeah.
into that.
View to a Kill. Got to at least have View to a Kill on there.
Lazy
I mean,
Beast.
it had a good theme song, I guess. It's memorable. It's kind of.
Christopher Walken. Anyway,
Wow.
that's a whole other show.
Mr.
Other show.
Bond.
All right. It was nice to see Christopher Walken. I'll give you that.
No,
Mr.
Mr. Bond, I expect you to
Bond.
die.
You laugh,
Exactly.
but that's exactly what he sounds like in the movie.
Yeah, I know.
Mr. Bond.
I have-
Cowbell.
This laser that's deadly
Now you have to
kill a
watch
lot
that
of
movie.
people. And there's nothing you could do.
Walking finger.
It's exactly like
Looking
that.
finger. Looking finger.
But also we have Scribbles with us. How you doing, Scribe Light?
Doing all right. And good evening, everyone. Get ready for Monster Mash.
We did the
Hey.
mash.
Monster
Speaking of
Mash.
mashes and monsters, Tripping Orc asks with Canadian $5, hey, thank you for the donation. Does Young Frankenstein count? Well, I guess he would be considered,
Mhm.
the
I would
doctor, he is technically a monster, I guess, but only a monster in,
Frankenstein.
But the monster would count.
it's a monster himself, yes, because he's a
Yeah.
metahuman monster.
Well,
I would say it counts, but I think we did that in comedy, didn't we?
We've not, have we done comedies yet?
Have we done Mel Brooks films
No.
yet?
I think
No.
Wouldn't it be good if we could have the same one movie that's in every category every week that we do?
Well, I already know
Only
the
there
answer to
was
that one.
Oh, it's White Christmas.
That's
Or
right.
Holiday
yeah.
Inn.
Christmas.
No, it's
It
the
won't be in
thing.
this.
What about Electric Boogaloo?
Oh,
But
it
anyway,
should be there.
What a
Tripping
great
Orc,
film.
Tripping Orc has gifted 5 memberships. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Very
And then
nice
Nick
of
the
you.
Greek sends a $9.99.
Hey, Nick.
Holy cow.
Yo, Nick.
It says Dog Soldiers, Tremors, Killer Clowns from Outer Space, The Thing, Fly, specifically Brundlefly, King Kong, Gojira, The Blob,
Gojira.
original and remake, and so many more. Only 5 isn't fair. I know it isn't
Yeah.
fair, but
I agree.
if we went more than that, the show would never end, and Culture, we'd never hear the end of it from Culture. He
No,
already
it'd be
pisses
like
and
that
moans
Christmas
enough.
thing.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Oh, he
I
threw
mean, we
a
could narrow
fit.
down these monsters, to like top 5 things that came out of a body of water. Right? We could
Good.
do that.
Yeah,
Bo Derek.
Top
Oh,
5
Derek,
wet
exactly.
things.
Those are monsters.
those 2 monsters. Yeah.
It was a pair. It's a match set.
Top 5
I'm sorry.
wet things.
5 wet things. That's just the title. 5 wet things. That's context.
That's
could
right.
be
That
damned.
gives
5
Swamp
wet
Thing
things.
a whole new meaning.
Yeah.
Top 5 water sports movies.
That's on Pornhub.
Yeah, not to say that's not YouTube friendly.
Now, 70s, Lizzo did retire, so
That's right.
we have
Well,
less of those.
I think
Actually,
Lizzo
that
is
was-
a tire.
I did think of one of her
Jeez.
concert movies as being one of these.
These
but
swamp
it's,
is. Anyway, okay,
Anyway,
sorry.
what are we
It's
talking
so
about
the-
again?
So the 5 will be suggestions for me, not an all-time top 5, because it's impossible. Impossible.
Yeah,
The
it was
monsters.
rough. And there's a whole bunch of stuff that occurred to me like after I submitted my list. I was like, oh
Yeah.
man, why didn't I think of that? Well.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Do it.
Do it.
That happens every week, right? Like we're all like, oh, somebody forgets something. But
Yeah.
all right, let's get rolling here. We've got
Rolling.
top 5 monster movies. Number 5 on Scribe Light's list,
Ooh.
Lice.
Yeah, this is when I first saw this, my first thought of it was I thought it was like Species. That was my and I didn't have any preamble to it or anything, so I didn't know anything about it except the sort of the poster art or whatever. But it is a very it's Frankenstein's monster-esque, but also really creepy and awkward and disturbing. The monster isn't as scary as the situations that we find the monster in with her creators, let's say. I won't give away too much, but it becomes really bizarre and twisted as it goes. But it's a really great setup. It almost feels like it could be a stage play, save for the necessary special effects, because it's so sort of personal and character driven. And I don't think this one gets as much attention as it probably should. It's really, it's a pretty good flick. I recommend it to anybody.
Is it better than the Island of Dr. Moreau?
Oh, well, I mean,
Which version?
so bad it's good kind of thing. It's hard to beat Dr. Moreau for just craziness.
You
But
could call this the splice of reason.
oh,
close.
What?
but I like mad scientist movies and things like this. So I almost wanted to put Hollow Man on my list, but I didn't know if that technically counted as a monster movie kind of thing. But some mad science or weird science stuff like this is kind of cool, and DNA monsters and down to earth kind of stuff. But yeah, if you haven't seen Splice, I recommend it. It's a good flick. Have any of you guys seen it before?
Oh yeah, I've seen it. Yeah,
Okay.
I haven't seen it.
it's pretty good. Yeah, good choice.
Yeah, it's
man.
got some. I mean, it's
What year is it from?
2014 or 15 or something. I forget.
I was gonna say like mid 2000 aughts, something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, let me see. 2010. Pardon me. That was earlier.
I was gonna say, I was gonna say closer to 2010. I thought.
Okay. Yeah. There you go.
Back when CGI was still good.
Yeah, no kidding. Davy Jones.
By the way, are we now in the 20s? When people say the 20s, that's legitimately the 2020s?
Well, we're in the
Yeah.
20s.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, we
The
just need
roaring-
Prohibition and Al Capone again.
We're in 20s.
Roaring 20s.
All right, let's keep moving along here. We got number 5 on Price of Reasons list, Nosferatu.
Mm.
I haven't seen this one in a while, but I remember kind of learning when I was learning about the history of cinema years ago, and I saw this on a big screen. I've seen it a few times since then, but I was just so impressed that in 1922, the kind of ideas that were put forward here, I know they don't hold up when you think about new movies or newer movies or even movies from the 70s or 80s. 1922 is very old, but the fact that somebody made the movie and that creature does still look kind of creepy, and even the whole black and white in that it's old kind of has its own charm that I don't know. I feel like this movie deserves some props.
I mean,
I think
it's a
this was
very
great pick.
yeah, very grotesque looking and still strikingly grotesque.
Right.
It
To this
looks
day, there's still the rumors of whether, like, I'm sure you guys have heard of the movie Shadow of the Vampire. Anybody
Mhm.
else?
Yep. Max
Yeah.
Is that the
And
one
that's-
with John Malkovich that they kind of recreate?
Yes.
That
Yes.
was an interesting movie. Yeah,
That's based on the idea that the rumors were that he was really a freaking vampire. At least he thought he was, because he was just a
Yeah, that was part of the
vile,
marketing.
nasty individual.
Yeah, that was part of
Yeah.
the marketing for the film. It was kind of like.
But I
a-
love that movie because it's like it actually plays with the idea that he is a vampire, obviously. But yeah,
Yeah, and Willem Dafoe just absolutely chews
Great.
the scenery in that movie. It's great. They're actually remaking this right now, if I'm not
Why
mistaken.
did you eat my cameraman? Why didn't you eat somebody like the script girl?
Yeah,
Later.
I'll eat her later.
Are they
It
making?
almost-
Are they remaking Nosferatu or Shadow of
Yes.
the Vampire?
No,
Nosferatu.
Nosferatu.
Nosferatu, yeah. And I think, did they get Willem Dafoe to play the vampire again, or am I imagining?
No, I
things?
think he's in it, but I don't.
Okay.
I can't remember the part he's playing.
Okay.
This is one
But
of
yeah,
the
because I
movies.
said that too when I first heard about it. I'm like, oh, it'd have been perfect for the vampire. Yeah.
This is one of the movies that begs the question: are monsters better in black and white?
Well, I mean, when
You
it
know?
comes to this movie, I mean, like you said, Price, it may not be as prominent or people may not bring it up as much as they used to, but I mean, it's still striking. I mean, just look at that poster there. I mean,
Yeah. They didn't have anything really to work with. This is the kind of thing. It's kind of like when you see sometimes people say, I know this is a weird example, but sometimes people say about the Beatles, they're like, well, there's plenty of drummers that are better than Ringo Starr, or plenty of guitar players in rock bands that were better than George Harrison. But what they sometimes don't understand is that those guys didn't really have a reference for what a rock band is, and they kind of did their own thing, and they laid down some kind of foundation. And I feel like Nosferatu, they didn't really have a whole horror industry of movies. It was just kind of something that they felt like they were doing, and it was rather revolutionary, I think.
oh yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. And I want to welcome everybody from Valiant Renegades Raid. You haven't missed much of the show so far, so welcome. And yeah, so anything else to say about Nosferatu before we move on to the next one?
No, just that it's a classic, and I thought that it was worthy of being in my top 5. Also, I seemed a bit snooty. Once I have it in my top 5, I can feel a little snooty.
That's a great pick. It's
That's
one
why
that, this movie scared the crap out of me when I was younger, and it really started everything off.
Yeah, Dracula with Bela Lugosi is fun. This is downright
This
just
is
kind of
scary.
eerie. Yeah,
Yeah.
This
Yes.
could really happen.
it just looks so real. It almost looks like documentary footage in some spots, but then it looks so surreal in all the German expressionist.
Hard to
you know.
believe that the part of Nosferatu was played by Joy Behar from The View. Hard to believe that. Yeah, it
Well, she's been around for
was her first acting gig. I mean, she didn't start till she was in her 50s.
True. I mean, most people don't realize that. Thank you for the trivia bit there. That's what we have you around for. More Tom knows.
To stay alive.
And then we've got on Tox's number 5, The Mummy.
Yeah, it's a fun movie. I've always the Mummy movies themselves, from the original ones that I saw with Bela Lugosi to the Mummy movies, comedies that they did with Abbott and Costello and all of that. The whole mummy coming back to life genre, really, I think in the 50s, you had tons of those films, just along with so many other black and white scary films came out in that time. In the mid 50s, that was my dad growing up and going to these films, and he enjoyed them. My mother did not. He did. Of all the Mummy movies, I think this one has the action to it, has enough CGI in it. I liked all of them that they did. This is a favorite of Mrs. Flew and I. Brendan Fraser I thought was good in this one, and Rachel Weisz is phenomenal. But the rest of the cast was very good, and the story was okay. So I really, really enjoyed it from this, and it's a film that I still watch today, twice a year.
All right.
Nice. I believe they're doing a gender swapped version, The Daddy.
The Daddy, the Mummy, yeah.
Daddy.
It's called The Mummy Unwrapped, and it's after this post-surgery. Post-op. That's what happens. So when they take the bandages off, and they're like, Gina is a man. You know, that kind of stuff and Tone Loc starring in it. Well,
It's Mammy.
Mammy. But yeah.
It's Mammy.
That was funny. I like that. Good show.
But anyway, yes. I have not seen this movie in probably 20 years. The first one was good. After that, though, I just couldn't with the sequels. But
the first
the
one was
original
good.
One was 1932, right? So the
original
Mummy has been around
yeah.
from a long time. But sorry,
Yeah.
Bryce, go ahead.
No, I'm saying the first one with Brendan Fraser, I remember being good. The second one was okay. And then I once started watching the third one, and Rachel Weisz wasn't in it. And it seemed like it was weird. And I think I turned it off after a few minutes.
I don't even know if I've watched the third one.
Yeah, she was in Constantine.
She was doing Constantine. But the reason she didn't do the third one is that she was in Constantine.
Or more like Constantine was probably in her.
Oh, there it is.
Was doing Constantine, yes.
And maybe she read the screenplay and knew it was a stinker.
It was a stinker.
I don't think I've seen the third one now that I think, because that was the one with
Jet Li, and they were in the
Jet Li. That's yeah. No, I never watched that one because first one I enjoyed. Second one, I remember going, why the hell do you have your kid? Like, of all the people in the world who should know better, right?
Yeah.
Like, why do you have your kid in one of these?
It's like Johnny Quest, he's an adventurous kid.
I know,
It's
but
one
it
of the
really
first
kind of
movies.
pulled me out of it. And then that scorpion thing at the end really pulled. Like,
Oh yeah.
Was the second one the one that the Rock is a scorpion?
Yes.
Yeah, the
And that's
Scorpion
where
King.
I was laughing so loud at that. I'm like, oh my, you're serious?
You know-
Is they're trying to pass this off?
Well, the
Until
reason why
today,
they did
that's one
this-
of the worst. Even for its time, it was a terrible visual effect.
all the
Yeah.
CGI for him as the Scorpion King. Yeah. It was
Yeah.
Stop motion would have been better.
But I mean, they made them because this film had an $80 million budget and it's made almost $420 million. It just keeps going, making money. It was.
Oh no, they were
runaway
big hits.
fun
The
hit.
first 2 or 3 were big hits. The third one, I
Yeah.
don't think did very well.
The
but-
second one was okay. The second one I thought had better CGI, and when they were running through, with the bus and all that stuff and everything, there was all kinds of stuff that was kind of cool in that one. But this first one, struck with the normies, brought a lot of people in, and it wasn't so much the horror type film the first one was. It was there, but it was more of a Indiana Jones-esque take to this, kind of a
It was a
romancing the
swashbuckling
stone.
adventure. It's just something they
Exactly.
they didn't make much back then, unless you're an Indiana Jones, and they certainly don't do it today to any real
No,
extent,
they
which is
don't.
unfortunate.
And I remember this version they sold more on the swashbuckling Indiana Jones style of it than the Universal horror film element of it.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's kind of where I think they kind of missed with this new trying to do the whole dark universe thing. But we don't need to get
Yeah,
down
they
that path.
missed that one.
No.
Yeah.
No, but I
They
think I think that after the first movie, they thought that if they would make it more Indiana Jonesy, then the money would increase and it would be more family appeal or something.
Oh yeah, I got that vibe from the second Mummy film. It was kind of like Alien versus to Aliens, because like that's what it felt like, especially when you get to that bit where you got the mummies literally crawling on the walls and shit coming
Right.
after them and stuff.
Yeah, it
See,
was
it's-
more lighthearted.
Well, the second movie budget was almost 100 million, but it made 435.
Oh yeah, it did fine.
And then even the Mummy Tomb of the Dragon Emperor made 400 million. Now the budget was twice what the first one was,
Yeah,
but it
Well,
still made money.
the second one did well enough that they spun off the Scorpion. They had at least 7 of those
Scorpion
fucking
King, yeah,
things.
7 of those. Yeah, they had tons of those things.
Yeah.
I once watched the Scorpion to King on TV. It was really ridiculous.
Yeah, it's bad.
It was awful, actually.
Yeah, but the chemistry between Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz was really, really good.
Yeah.
And, you know,
Yes, that
and
was
the
good.
story and stuff was really
Yeah.
good. It was missing in the third one. And Price, you were right. It just wasn't the same film.
Yeah.
As that.
Well, let's keep going. We've got
Just final comment. Maria Bello it isn't even British, and they I think they didn't even try to explain that.
No, they didn't. I think they were trying. They thought they had Rachel Weisz up to the end, and it didn't happen.
I mean, couldn't they at least have hired a British actress? Not that it would have been really the same, but to just hire an American actress that's not as good as the other one and doesn't seem anything like her. It's such a harsh change that that's why within moments of watching that third one, I just stopped. I mean, I couldn't get behind it.
Yeah, Rachel Weisz was.
That's it. I'll be quiet now.
That's why
you're fine.
she didn't do the film, the third one.
I just know we got a long way to go.
Okay, I'll be quiet. Let's move on.
No, you're fine. 70s rock fan bringing in one of the other Universal monsters,
Yes,
the
one of the-
creature from the Black Lagoon.
Possibly one of the overlooked Universal monsters.
Well, he's one of the
certainly-
latter editions. Yeah,
I mean, we're talking about wet rubber, weren't we? So, yeah.
Mhm.
But I really saw this as a kid in television, and it's always entranced me ever since. And I think it's had quite a big impact over the years. When you look at movies like Jaws and Alien and other movies like that, I think they do take something from this. It was a really great amphibian humanoid design done by Millicent Patrick. My God, there was a woman in Hollywood before Jennifer Lawrence.
What?
Yeah,
No, Jennifer Lawrence is immortal. What are you talking about?
former Disney animator
Shut your mouth.
Millicent Patrick, who also did Came from Outer Space and a few other movies like this. So
Mhm.
the monster is
Well, you forgot that
fabulous.
Joy Behart's second performance is the creature in this. I mean,
So true.
So I think for me, it had the movie itself's got a great blend, and black and white, great blend of suspense and horror. You sympathize with the creature somewhat, but at the same time, he's still scary, effectively scary. Apparently is able to resurrect because they made a sequel, even though the creature
yeah, they did like 2 more sequels. In fact, Clint Eastwood, I believe, was in the third one, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
I
maybe.
think he was. Yeah.
But yeah, I think for me, it's an overlooked cornerstone of modern monster cinema. It was in the cusp of taking the old Universal monsters into a more sort of sci-fi style monster.
Mhm.
Really wonderful movie, and I think works really well in the original black and white. Fabulous monster, and well done, Millicent Patrick.
It was
You
in
know?
3D as well.
Yes, I have never seen it in 3D though, which
I have it on 3D
disappoints
Blu-ray.
me.
Yeah,
It
It's all right.
disappoints me. But yeah, it's a fun
Glad you picked
movie.
this one.
Great design. It's always stuck in my mind, maybe because I saw it so when I was so young. I love it a lot, and I think of all the Universal monsters, it's possibly the most overlooked.
I'm glad you picked this one. This is my father's favorite film from a child, and he would tell me about the monster came up and all that stuff, scared him to death.
Yeah.
And,
I do have a
almost
really
put this on my
nice.
list.
I do have a really nice DVD set of this and the sequels. It's pretty good.
Well, it's too bad Gary isn't here because I believe he has a mask from one of the original molds.
Yeah,
I wouldn't
the
be surprised.
Gill Man. Yeah,
Yep.
great creature. Loved it. Yeah, I love this creature.
And the poster art for this.
Oh,
And we've got a
brilliant,
lot of good poster because you had a black and white film. This was really their only opportunity to give it some color in the posters and stuff.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
I almost miss when posters used to lie to us.
Yeah. Well, now it's just a black silhouette standing in a doorway with a red light.
Yeah,
behind
did you
it.
see my tweet?
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, what the fuck? We went from pyramid heads to this crap, this minimalist garbage. Like, no, this is a beautiful fucking piece of art. Like,
And,
I would hang this on my wall, right?
Oh,
Like,
it's a great poster. But the underwater cinematography is brilliant in this as well. So really good.
No, you're right. You brought up
time, yeah.
you brought up the Jaws thing, and as I was cutting together the intro, I almost cut a shot of the girl from the Black Lagoon with a shot of Jaws just to be kind of cheeky, because it does look like this. You could tell Spielberg totally stole the shot, the
I
opening
think
shot
so.
from Jaws from that. Yeah, it's same silhouetted angle and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, so check it if you've never seen it. And I know some people don't like old movies like this. It's a really fun movie. It's scary and exciting, a lot of action. Nice. Julie Adams is pretty hot. But ahead of its time, underwater cinematography and a great man in a rubber suit. What more could you ask?
Yes, I love rubber monsters.
A man in his
All right.
Man in his rubber, yes.
Number 5 on my list, and this is why I accepted Aliens, because even though these are little rubber hairy creatures, they're still technically aliens. So I'm like, yeah, I gotta let everybody else pass. But Critters, a movie that came out in the wake of Gremlins that I feel like does not get enough credit, and it had a really excellent sequel and then a bunch of really shit sequels after that. But no, the first and second film are really well done, and you got the Kyoto brothers doing the critter effects, making them a very unique kind of creature from that era. They look like some freaky porcupine-like, popple-like creatures. I don't know if anybody remembers those toys from when we were kids.
Popples.
Yeah, and that's what they reminded me of was that. But I know I loved these movies. I thought they were great, and they stand out to me because they didn't. I mean, it helps that they were, in the process of being made before Gremlins was even a thing. But they don't resemble Gremlins nearly as much as some of the other ripoffs, let's say, and they have a lot of unique ideas, especially the bounty hunters who can change their face into whatever they want to. And
Yeah, that freaked me out as a kid when the bounty hunters didn't have faces. Like for some reason, that whole image just like really made me uncomfortable when I was a child.
nothing likes me. Find
Yeah.
something. And I love that because it carries over to the second film, and he can't seem to. There's Ugg and Lee, and Lee can't seem to find him. And then he finally settles on the Playboy centerfold.
Exactly.
It's like I said, like I almost put Critters 2 instead of Critters 1 on here because there's almost more awesome monster stuff in Critters 2 because you get the critter ball, for instance, and all that kind of, there's 10 times more critters in the sequel. But no, this is a nice, tight little film. The critters land outside of a little Kansas farm one night and terrorize them as the bounty hunters show up to try and stop them because they've escaped from a high security prison in space. But yeah, the critters are basically known for just eating and eating and eating and growing and eating and growing and so they're just fun little monsters. And yeah, it's a great time if you haven't seen it, and I'm sure you all have. So all right, let's move on. We've got a couple super chats here before we do go to our next picks. We got 16-bit mascot in the house sending in $5. Thank you for the support. Says, hey guys, hope you all had a fine weekend. Cheers, Midnight Edgers. Well, thank you, 16-bit mascot. We appreciate the support. And another big supporter of the channel Eric Winberg, who loves his Mead Radio, and thank you again. I got your donation. And he also gifted a membership. Thank you for that, Eric. We appreciate the support. And Jason Webster fires in some news on Godzilla -1. It has crossed 115 million worldwide. It is now the second highest worldwide grossing Japanese live action film of all time. Yeah, too bad they didn't have a wider release, or they could have definitely beat that. If you were saying something, Tox, you're muted.
I
Your mouth is moving.
It's a great film. Yeah.
Yeah. And it may or may not come up in the show yet. We'll see. And with that, let's move back on down. We've got number 4 on Scribe Lights. The Mist. It's a mist. It's not even a monster.
Yes, you're correct. I don't know what I was thinking.
It's a fart cloud.
Yeah, unlike whoops, that's my phone going off. Sorry. Yeah, this is a sort of menagerie monster movie because you get a whole smorgasbord of different kinds of creatures in this one rather than just like one monster, which is kind of neat. So it keeps you guessing because there's not just one threat out there. And certainly it's a much more human tale of apocalypse and people having to. It's a very, very Stephen King, obviously, sort of setup. And wonderfully directed, better in black and white. We were talking earlier about Nosferatu and how monster movies are probably better in black and white. If I remember correctly, Darabont wanted to show this.
He has released it in black and white since, I believe.
Yeah, he released in black and white, or there's a black and white version on one of the DVD or Blu-ray deals. But the monster designs in this are really neat. The some of the best parts of it, of course, is theater of the mind, in which you can't really see everything that's going on. So a lot of the horror comes from what you have to use your imagination for. And I won't give it away, but definitely one of the most shocking endings of a film, the way that they set it up, that just was perfect for it. And great cast, great acting, great setup. Special effects are just right. I mean, the CGI doesn't look that bad. And actually, if you watch in black and white, I think it actually makes it look better. And,
somebody spoiled the ending for me before I saw it.
Oh, that sucks, dude. Oh yeah, man,
they walked up to me in the video. They're like, "Oh man, that Mist movie is crazy. I couldn't believe that blank blankety blank." And I'm like, "Oh, I hadn't seen it yet, but thanks."
Who would have guessed that Darth Vader was Luke Skywalker's father?
Oh, way to go! Yeah, spoiler.
Yeah, but the other thing I really like about it is it's very suggestively H.P. Lovecraftian in a way. So it's. But if you haven't seen The Mist, definitely recommend it. But don't expect to walk away happy.
yeah, it's not a very happy ending film.
Oh, from here. Well, isn't The Mist end up being Culture Casino? Oh, sorry.
Starring Culture Casino in Deadly Mist.
And I Can't Breathe, the music.
Rated F for fart.
N for noxious, don't you mean? N for noxious.
In smell-o-vision. An interesting pick. I didn't expect The Mist to make the list, but it did. So there you go.
I'm just full of surprises.
You are.
Yes, you are.
Number 4 is White Christmas. Bing Crosby is a fucking monster.
No kidding.
Not as much as Danny Kaye, though.
No,
Danny Kaye really gives a career high performance.
They were like Godzilla and Kong before Godzilla and Kong. I mean,
Bing XK.
That's right.
Danny Kaye's the MVP of the movie.
Crosby XK. This Christmas. The Xmas.
Yeah.
It's
Xmas.
Berlin. It is most horror.
Urban Berlin brings
the
the fight you've been waiting for.
It's so white you can't see it.
One
dance of destruction across the city.
Well, they were kind of dancing in Godzilla X Kong. That's funny because I did say that I was picking on Yellow Flash. I'm like, they kept looking at each other longingly, and the one scene they were lighter than air, dancing like Danny Kaye and Bing Crosby.
Nice. Oh, that's good. But
all right,
this
let's keep
movie
moving.
makes everyone's list every time.
It does every time. It's your go-to favorite holiday porno.
Look at that leg. Look at all that leg right
That's a lot of leg.
Mhm.
A lot of leg.
Rosemary Clooney.
Vera Ellen.
No, that's
That's
Vera
Vera
Ellen.
Ellen.
Isn't that George Clooney's aunt or something?
Yes, Rosemary is his aunt. Yes.
Yep.
She was royal.
All right. Then we've got it again.
No, no.
Yes.
My
Yes,
God, what a
Bryce and
popular
I are
film.
we're
Everybody loves this
surprisingly on the same wavelength.
They're
Yes.
back.
You're dreaming of it.
And this
and
time
we both
they're-
picked the Diamond Anniversary Edition
Oh,
as the one there because there's 20-30 extra minutes of Bing XK.
Oh wow.
Is that where they mutates into a monster?
There's
Pink
20
spikes,
extra
yeah.
minutes of Danny Kaye tap dancing.
That's where he gets
Well,
the pink spikes, yeah.
Vera Ellen and Rosemary Clooney 28 days later. It's a bloodbath.
whoa.
What?
That went south.
Dang. Whoa.
Hey, there it is.
Yeah.
I believe they had some synchronization problems with the audio and video for that part.
And speaking of going south, Nick the Greek sends in $1.99 to say culture casino, weaves of horror, brown mist. Brown mist. There we go. There's the name.
Mist.
Brown mist.
Brown mist.
Did you guys see the
Fecal-mancer.
brown mist? I got to imagine you did with the way you described how bad it smelled.
Yeah,
I
it
don't want
was.
that
It
to-
was. It was the
It was
fecal
like
monster.
crop
that's correct.
dusting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yee.
Mhm.
Ugh. You probably got pink eye and didn't even know it.
Yeah.
Pink eye.
And we got number
Yeah.
4 on 70s list.
I want White
Run,
Christmas.
Fly.
Come on, what's wrong with I want White Christmas?
Kicking myself for not picking this one.
The Fly.
Well-
but I'm a huge David Cronenberg fan, and he's the master of body horror. And you couldn't get much more icky than this. I'm not sure a real fly really would look like this. Close up. I mean, even the flies would look at that and go, "My God, that's disgusting." Just
Ugly for a
Big-
fly.
magnificent. I mean, how much ick and ooze and stuff can you have? You know, and just how many appendages does one monster need? You know, and removable jaw. I mean, come on, what more could you ask for? Yeah, he's a great director. Made some fantastic stuff. The early stuff like Shivers and Rabid and Scanners, just
Videodrome.
Videodrome.
Mhm.
But The Fly was like peak Cronenberg.
Well, it's
He had,
also
he had some
his,
money, and he had some money. to
studio
work with.
film, yeah.
Yes, it is a money to work with, and the monster that Jeff Goldblum turns into is magnificent,
Mhm.
absolutely epic. The stuff falling off him, and it's I don't know.
Designed
Also,
by
uh,
Chris Walas.
It was produced by Mel Brooks, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes,
as
it
well.
was.
Mhm.
The Fly was designed by Chris Walas, who's also well known for directing the sequel and designing the Gremlins and the baby dragons from Dragon Slayer.
It's one of the only movies that I think I like Gina Davis in because
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah.
I really do think he should have vomited acid onto her face though.
Right.
There was a period where Gina Davis was all right, and then
She was
yeah,
getting a
I'm
long
just-
kiss goodnight.
yeah, and then she just went
Yeah.
batshit crazy at some point.
Yeah, but it's just I mean
I think there's a steamy scene in this movie with Gina Davis, or am I wrong?
there is
Yeah. There
where
is.
she gets pregnant with what she has a nightmare of being a giant maggot, but
Mhm.
but yeah, it's something you'll never forget if you see The Fly. You will
Well,
never
and of course,
forget.
with Cronenberg, there's always an underlying
yeah,
message in this movie. There's two actually. And I don't know if
Isn't
you
the
know what I'm getting
sequel
at.
with Eric Stoltz or something weird like
Yes,
that?
there's the sequel to Eric Stoltz, which is fun, but is not nearly as
No.
good on any
I-
level.
So, but here's a fun fact, piece of trivia for you: the original 1958 The Fly, the screenplay was written by James Clavell of Shogun fame. So, there you go.
Oh.
Yes.
What?
Yep.
So
So I really,
the original film's great, but this remake
Yeah.
holds very little in common with the original film outside of the idea and basically the design of the machine.
So
Like those are
spoil-
the only two
Yeah,
things,
that's right.
really.
so
Why did
spoiler-
Mel Brooks produce it though? Isn't that kind of out of his wheelhouse?
Because he was a Cronenberg freak. And
yeah,
actually the funny thing about how this came about was Mel was actually didn't even want to do it at first. I don't remember if it was Cronenberg who brought it up or somebody else. Well, Fox was going to make a Fly remake regardless. It was already on the docket that they were going to do it. And I don't even remember who was involved initially. But then after Elephant Man and what was the other one that he did? Eraserhead and I think he'd done another movie before this too.
Was it
And,
Blue Velvet?
One of those. Maybe that was after, but
Yeah.
either way, he was kind of the up and coming hot ticket, and somebody had put them like that would be a perfect one for Cronenberg, and I think Cronenberg got heard about it, and he's like, yeah, I really want to do it, but Brooks is like, I don't know. He's like, The Fly, that stupid thing. But then Cronenberg kind of explained, he's like, no, I want to do it as a metaphor for AIDS and abortion.
No, you know what happened, Tom? He pitched it to Mel Brooks. The Fly is actually a Nazi in drag. And he said, perfect.
Yeah, that's it.
Mel Brooks does comedies. Why would he even want anything to do with this movie?
Because he produced The Elephant Man, and he produced
I see what you mean. I see what you're saying. That
he produced a lot of stuff that had nothing to do with the type of movies he made.
Movie maker.
I see. I get you now. Yeah. Okay.
And he saw
It's
what it
almost
was.
as if
It
he's
was like a perfect
a
marriage of the
producer.
two. Yeah. Yeah, he was a producer.
Yeah.
Yeah, great movie. Everyone should see it once, but probably only once.
But yeah, that was kind of the spoilers as to what is the allegories in this film. It's the AIDS epidemic and abortion. That's the two. And there goes our monetization.
But I wouldn't have known from watching the movie that it's about either of those things, really.
Oh, yeah,
I thought it was just about a guy puking up to eat his food.
It just looks like a weird kind of creepy movie. It doesn't. I never really thought that it does any of the things you just said. But what do I know?
And
watch it again with that knowledge, like basically, that Brundle is, dying of HIV and AIDS or whatever, and the whole thing with the baby is that's a pretty much up front because they like bring up the whole idea. Well, do you want to have it? Do you not want to have it? And
help me, help me.
Well, at least as opposed today, the way they do these kind of messaging, I don't think it was obvious to whoever saw this movie until you just mentioned it to me now. Never would have thought of any of that. It just looked like a creepy kind of movie, and I never really thought much about that.
Well, that's where the sequel's fun because that one doesn't really dive into the messaging as much.
But the thing is, it doesn't matter if you get the message or not. You can take it as just what it is.
Absolutely. It's a body horror film.
It's a body horror
I'm
film
just saying, like, even before the modern lens, they've talked about, like, this is not even something I came up with on my own. This is, things that other film people have talked about before. I think even Cronenberg himself has brought this up. But yeah, basically he came to Brooks or whoever it was that it was like just a marriage of perfection, right? Like, because this was his biggest film to date, I believe. I don't think he's done anything bigger since. And, the sequel's even fun, but no, it's a great concept. And this is how you remake a movie right? We brought this up a few times. The Thing falls in this category. Scarface, The Fly, they fall into this category of take an idea but run with it in a completely different direction. Because that original film, you watch that compared to this, two completely different worlds. Because Brooks was right. That original film didn't even hold up back in 1986, let alone now. The original film's laughable in a lot of ways.
It's just
Yeah.
This is a masterpiece of monster horror.
Yeah, well, the gimmick in the original was like instantaneous man-fly, whereas this, it's the slow encroaching rot and transformation that is, the heart of the whole film.
Well, the original
That's what
film is
dragged it
told
out.
in flashback too.
That too, yeah.
The fly's already dead, and he doesn't even turn into the fly all the way. He
Yeah.
just
Right.
turns his head and his hand.
There's about
Yep, head
8
and arm.
stages of it. And the thing is, it's all makeup, prosthetics. There's no
Oh no, I was talking about the
digital
original. But
trickery.
yeah,
Oh, sorry, this one. Sorry, yeah.
but yeah, this
I'm
one you're
talking
right.
about
Like
this one.
the makeup stages that he goes through are there's several. In fact, I think it got nominated or won the Oscar for makeup that year.
There's parts of his body at the end are basically puppets that are being controlled. It's really, no digital trickery. It's fantastic. Brilliant.
Yeah. And Goldblum's performance sells every single moment of it.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah,
if
perfect.
if
Well, I don't
he-
think anybody else could have played it, right?
Perfect.
No,
Yes,
exactly. He's just Goldblum is just so eccentric naturally enough that he fits perfectly for this character. And then as he goes through these stages and he's sort of losing his mind, he's just perfect casting. It just you couldn't imagine anybody else doing that good a job with that character, I don't think.
Exactly.
No,
Perfect
he's
for-
the only person you could believe is crazy enough to actually try it on himself.
Yeah.
right? Like that's the thing is he needed an Egon type of guy who's going to be like, yeah, I'm going to drill a hole in my head.
Yeah, and the plot the plot element that makes it make sense, and it took me a couple times watching it way back when to figure this out, is that he's not the scientist. If you listen to the opening deal, he explains how he just puts stuff together. He gets different contractors to build the thing. So he's as much in the dark about what he's doing with himself as basically anybody else would be, because he's just an idea guy. He's not the actual scientist, so he doesn't understand all of how it works. And it's a great
what's
little
fucked up is it does work, but he just doesn't take into consideration the smallest minute detail.
Right.
What happens if something else is in there at the same time as you? Is it going to be able to figure out on the other end, or is it going to do what it does to him? And that is combine their DNA, which is another thing at that time, which was really becoming, news in science communities as far as talk of, we knew about DNA, but now we're getting to that point of where they were having conversations like with Jurassic Park, right? Like
there's a warning for the future in here.
Like what we could do. Yeah. What can we do with DNA now? Like what can happen if we can mix things?
What would have been funny is if he'd gone into the machine and came out as a giant pile of dinosaur poop. That would have been funny.
Right. That's one big pile of shit. But anyway, we spent a little too long on the fly, so let's keep rolling here. But very good pick. Very good pick, Brian.
Why, thank you, sir.
And then my number 4 is Bruce the Shark. And this is where I was like, okay, does Jaws count? Well, my argument is yes, because Bruce does things that no actual shark would do. So that makes him a monster, I guess, in a way. So
like
I'll
a woman with such small boobs.
That's right. That's right. But no, like in all actuality, yeah, Bruce the Shark. In fact, we've come to find out in more recent years after more research that the original stories that Jaws was based on most likely was a bull shark and not a great white shark anyway. So, but yeah, no, Jaws is one of my favorite films of all time, or it is my favorite film of all time, depending on which day of the week you ask me. And I mean, I don't remember a movie monster more memorable than Jaws as I was growing up as a kid. I mean, he was just part of pop culture in general. I mean, that image that we have on screen right now, to me, is one of the most iconic film images of all time. I mean, you see that image, you instantly know what it is. So, and I mean, we've talked about
it was a
this movie ad
combination of
nauseam.
the story, the cinematography, right? The fact that they didn't have the shark work made it more suspenseful. And then you had the soundtrack.
Yeah.
Everyone knows. You could be doing whatever, wherever you're going, it's a donna. That's it.
The simplicity of it too, yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, no,
Just
Jaws
phenomenal.
is just one of those great designed creatures that, he doesn't look exactly like a real shark, but he looks like Jaws. Once you see it, you know exactly what it is, right? Like, it's Jaws. It's Bruce. It is what it is. But yeah, like I said, we've talked about Jaws quite a bit, so I don't need to beat on that much
One of the
longer.
greatest films of all time.
Yeah. And one of the greatest movie monsters, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. Then we got number 3 on Scribe Light's list as we move back around again. He's got the alien from Alien.
Yeah, I mean, one of the greatest monster movies of my growing up, and still works. Still works even after all this time. We're talking about Nosferatu sort of setting the standard for an entire genre. And some movies you go back and watch that started a genre, they don't seem to have as much impact because at the time they were being made, they were innovative and creative and everything. And then, of course, if you've been inundated with their clones over the years, you go back to the beginning, it doesn't necessarily have the same impact. I think Alien still works today. It's so good. It's so visceral. The setting, the effects, the mood, it just great. The sort of retro futuristic stuff. The only thing that still bugs me is Tom Skerritt's haircut, but other than that might be scarier than Alien. But yeah, I mean, I don't know that there's anything I need to say about
Koto's headbands and shit kind of date me a little bit too.
That's a little too retro futuristic, but
he's dressed like he's ready to go do some break dancing, man. Like,
yeah, I remember seeing this as a kid, and call it my sort of nascent sexism or something. But I had no idea what was going to happen because, again, this is before the internet and all that. And so I always thought it was going to be like Yaphet Kotto or somebody who was going to end up like taking an axe to the monster's head or whatever. And and to see everybody whittled down and to see like Ripley become the hero was really surprising for me. And of course you'd seen everybody else get themselves, male or female, get themselves taken out over the course of the film. So that sense of genuine suspense and not knowing what was going to happen next really hit home for me as a kid. And that last bit, I'm sorry, spoiler alert for what is this, a 40-year-old movie now or whatever. Yeah, that last bit where the alien's hiding amongst the piping in the escape pod thing, actually it's almost worse now knowing that it's there and looking for it before it pops out. Almost has as much of an effect on me now as it did when I first saw it.
Well, I just watched this like 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago it was. And yeah, you're right. Like that scene there specifically makes the alien feel more like an animal than any other scene, because it's like, is it hibernating? What's it doing? You know, like and you're just sitting there with Ripley in the same spot she is going, oh shit. You know, like I just blew up the ship to try and get away from this fucker, and it's in here now, you know, like you can't get away. It's like a cockroach.
Yeah, and it's such a bittersweet ending too, because like this, again, when I was a kid, and this was before the sequel came out, I was like, well, she's lost in space. She's all alone. She's going to be floating out forever with nobody going to find her. It's like, it's a Pyrrhic victory, at least at that time before we get to the sequel. So it's just like, yeah, you won. You beat the one alien and everybody's dead. And now you're stranded in space. Sucks, doesn't it? Yeah, great movie.
Yeah, but you're not a breeding ground.
Well, you know? Unless Jonesy gets frisky, but who knows?
But no, yeah, Alien's a great design for a creature, and it does definitely deserve
a great movie.
Oh my,
Lord. Not again.
Some sexual assault going on there.
Oh yeah,
Danny Kaye is very upset.
This one got a little aggressive.
Well, he's upset that Bing is kissing a woman, I think. But
yeah, I think that's what's going on.
No, I'm just kidding.
That's
but yes,
Bing XKX Clooney. That's how I think that works.
Why do you think they're fighting?
Yes, they hate each other
because of this. No, but yes, poor Price. You just got another.
All I get is just Danny Kaye these days, I guess.
Danny Kaye, yeah.
Danny Kaye.
Oh, here we go. Mighty Joe Young popping up on Tox's list. Great fucking flick.
So, I am not a King Kong fan. That does not mean I do not recognize the greatness of the movie that is King Kong and all that kind of stuff from there. However, and this is the 1949 film, not this 1999 stuff that came out.
Which I do enjoy the remake, but yeah.
Yeah, the remake was good. Don't get me wrong. The remake was good, but I'm talking about the original. Yeah. And in this one, you've got a young girl who has a gorilla that ends up, she befriends, and that gorilla gets to be a little big, and it's exploited by a promoter. So that kind of, it's like Kong. This came out a little bit after Kong. It was right after World War II that this came out in 49. So they were really starting to get into those monster movies again, and getting into the 50s, which I think to me is the heyday of monster movies. Did not do well in the box office, just barely made above its budget. But something that I saw in when I was younger, it's an RKO Radio Pictures film, and I loved RKO films, a lot of them from there. So, yes, it is a ripoff of King Kong, but one of my favorite.
I don't know if I'd call it necessarily a ripoff because it's made from the same people. It's a different story, different kind of story. The only thing that's similar is the big ape element.
Right. Really. And he's not as big as King Kong.
No, and it's always kind of been considered the third Kong film anyway, in a weird way. So, no, I mean, it's a classic. I enjoy it. And yeah, I believe this is one of the first ones that Harryhausen worked on as well. So, yeah.
I think so.
Because he was,
the screenplay was written by a Ruth Rose, as a woman. So people saying that
same writer for Kong, yep.
Yeah. So all that stuff in there, you can't sit there and say that women didn't participate in cinema and all that stuff back in the day. And so, but yeah, I liked the film. 94 minutes long, and it was a lot to like in this film. And yeah, just a great film from my standpoint.
All right, we'll keep moving then, and we got 70s rock fan who really, like everybody else here tonight, is just enjoying the monsters that are Danny Kaye and Bing Crosby. And that
This
and
has
the one
children
that's
monsters in it.
well, that child, I was just gonna say that child in the front there is the biggest monster of all.
Her head
Y'all have no
spins.
idea.
She spits clam chowder for White Christmas. So
Yes. Not pea
oh,
soup.
no, wait,
clam
eggnog,
chowder,
eggnog,
and
sorry.
eggnog. Both. It's a nasty combo.
That's right.
So yeah, we'll get back to that. Then we got number 3 on my list, Gremlins, and I hate that poster because that's not even Gizmo from Gremlins. It's Gizmo from Gremlins 2.
It's
But,
2.
and that was
Yes.
Price's number 3. But yeah, I mean, the Gremlins are just an amazing creature. I've talked about how much I love the movie a million times over, but as far as a creature design goes, the Gremlins themselves and Gizmo, I thought were insanely good. Chris Walas, who also was behind The Fly and stuff, did a great job. And as monsters go, they have this great fairy tale element to them. So yeah, Price, what do you want to say about Gremlins?
It's one of those movies that I remember so fondly seeing it as a kid, and I just loved it. It does everything that a good movie is supposed to do. Yes, today as an adult, I think I could be nitpicky with some of the screenplay choices there, but there's something just so fun. I always liked Gizmo, and also how the metamorphosis that they go from looking like he does into the bad guys, and all the water stuff. It's just great. I don't know how can you not like this movie.
Well, people already picked on the rules back in the day, and that's why the sequel is amazing. Because Joe Dante was just like, all right, I'm just going to address all the shit that people said about the first movie and have a good time.
The thing is, the second one I've seen maybe twice in my whole life. I felt like when I watched it, I wasn't as excited as I was about the first one. It didn't capture me in the same way.
See, here's the problem with the second film. If you go in expecting it to be a direct, same tone sequel to the first film, you're going to be completely caught off guard.
Yes.
If you watch that Key and Peele speech or skit before you watch the movie again, it'll totally make sense. Because like I said, it's basically Joe Dante going, okay, fuck all y'all. I'm going to do whatever the hell I want. I'm going to make a Looney Tunes cartoon here instead of a sequel to Gremlins. And he's literally making fun of everything that he did in the first movie and any gripe or complaint anybody had in the first movie, to the point where he even has Leonard Maltin in the fucking movie reviewing the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
It is a meta movie before meta was a thing. Like, it is such a, like, I mean, I still, there's so many quotable cracked up things, or things that crack me up. Like when you got the Clamp Tower in the background, you hear like the announcements and shit, and you got like, because he's supposed to be like this Trump / Ted Turner guy. So you got, tonight on the Clamp Cable Network, it's Casablanca in full color with a happier ending, and shit like that. And just the little, it's such a parody and a satire. It's like if Mel Brooks made Gremlins. It is hilarious. It's just,
maybe I'll give it a chance. I'll do a rewatch.
You got to rewatch it with the idea in mind that, like, yeah, this guy knew what he was doing. He's making fun of the first film. It's not a sequel so much as it is just a straight up fucking satire.
I see.
Of the first film. Yeah. That's why you got Hulk Hogan breaking in the middle of the movie too.
Yeah, but that's exactly when I saw it. I guess it's exactly what you're describing. I was expecting a sequel to that first one, and it was just so bonkers and weird that I could appreciate the different ideas, but I really wanted the continuation of the story because I loved the first one so much. And didn't they bring back the couple that was killed in the first one and suddenly they were alive in the second one?
Well, technically that's not true. Most people think that, but if you listen in the background of the first movie, when the reporter from The Howling is on TV, when you cut away from them, from the TV to, the goings on when the Chinese guy shows up and stuff like that, you can hear him saying on the TV that he's about to interview the Futtermans, who just barely survived an attack of the creatures. So yeah, it is set up that they did survive in the film, but it's really hard to hear unless you're paying a lot of attention. Yeah, that's something that bugged me too as a kid. But then, as a kid, I was like the same way. The first time I saw it, I'm like, it was good. It just wasn't. It was weird. And then like I kind of thought about it a little bit, and I saw it again on video when it came out, and I just got it the second time. I'm like, okay, he's just making fun of the first movie, is what he's doing.
I'll do a rewatch. You convinced me.
It's hilarious. It is one of the greatest sequels ever made. I don't give a shit what anybody says. But yes, I will simp for Greta and Gremlins too. Says Nick the Greek. She is hilarious. So yes, all the Gremlins are in Gremlins too, especially the brain gremlin. But anyway, moving on, we've got number 2 on Scribelight's list, Predator, and Price is number 3.
Yeah, this is one of those movies that, I mean, sort of like my number 1 movie. It can fit in so many different lists for so many different reasons. But yeah, I mean, as an action movie, as a horror movie, as a monster movie, the Predator, just like with Alien, one of the best like monster concepts and designs of the era. If not my, I mean, not just my childhood. I think just of like horror movies in general. I mean, what a perfect combination of ideas that came together. And so much. And then the thing about this creature, sort of like you're talking about critters and everything, there's so much implied about the wider lore of this monster as you watch him operate, even though he never has a single, well, I mean, he has dialogue in the film, but it's not really, coming from the creature himself. But so much storytelling is told through the clothing and the equipment and its methods and its behaviors. It's not just the look of the monster; it's that it acts like a monster, but in a very intelligent way. So is it a monster since it's an intelligent being? It's like, but yeah, and even today, still just like the Alien, it's just such a perfect film. You can watch it today, and it works just as well. Sure, a couple of the visual effects are outdated, but there weren't that many of them in the first place, and everything else is practical. So it's so good. I just love it.
Still looks pretty good, actually.
Yeah, and I love the monster. I love. Oh,
and it's hard to believe that we almost didn't get that monster.
Yeah,
we almost got Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Jean-Claude Van Damme is like a praying mantis looking thing.
Is he really a monster though, as Putin and others are saying in the chat? He's more of he's an alien, but is he a monster? I mean, he looks monstrous to us, obviously. Yeah,
like I say, the way that this movie works, there's so much going on. It could cross over into so many different ways of interpreting it. But is he a monster? I mean, he's kind of a Frankenstein. He's a Wolfman, a Dracula kind of thing. It's hard to say.
Stan Winston designed him. He counts.
Indeed.
That's what I think that's enough qualification.
Absolutely, yeah.
Stan Winston designed it? Yeah, okay.
I think Stan Winston may get mentioned again later.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Anything more to say about Predator?
It's tough with these lists like this. Is Alien, monster. What is the definition of a monster from there? Because, I mean, my ex-wife's a monster. I could have made a movie about her.
Well, I mean, and the Alien does have a kind of, the Predator, I should say, has a kind of code of honor. He doesn't attack people who aren't armed. He only wants to attack, game and like an actual threat to him. So,
live it up to the title.
Debatable.
Oh, I'm not criticizing the choice. It's a fantastic choice. Just throwing.
Oh no, I was just getting philosophical. Yeah,
just throwing it out there for chat purposes.
I mean, it could be debated just the same way with Frankenstein's monster, but I mean, it's in the freaking name. So.
Frankenstein.
But good choice, Predator. And Price, it was your number 3. What did you want to say about it?
I mean, I think that for its time, it was sort of a interesting hybrid movie. On one hand, you had the action element with the likes of Arnold Schwarzenegger and even Carl Weathers and just that whole cast. I think Jesse Ventura's in it. It's just very much kind of macho men. Easily could be set up as just this cool action movie, but then you throw in this other kind of sci-fi element that it's, this creature and the way it's also presented, and then it's a bit of a horror in the jungle kind of thing. And I don't know, I love how back then people would actually take risks and try different things. it's not an obvious movie. Like if somebody pitches this to you and you've never seen it before, I don't know if you fully understand what they want to do. But it's nice that during those kind of cigar chomping days, somebody would just say, "Yeah, make this movie." If that makes any sense.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, and it's a type of movie I don't think could have existed outside of any other time period than what it came into.
You could
That's
have
why I
never
don't think
told
any
it.
of the sequels have really worked either.
Right. Oh, well, the one with Danny Glover, I thought
It was okay, but
was
I liked
decent. It was
it's the only good, decent one. Yeah.
it wasn't a disaster. At least they didn't try to recreate the first one. They did something a bit different. Anything afterwards was really not good. There was that one that they put on Hulu with the little girl and the Native American. It wasn't good, but it was better than I thought it would be.
I
But
didn't hate Predators either, the one that was on the planet. Although it
Uh,
felt a lot like a ripoff of the original.
was
You
that the
know-
one with Adrian Brody?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It really reminds me. We were talking before the show started about just as an aside, Ghostbusters. Should Ghostbusters be a franchise? And Predator is one of those too that kind of feels like I think you kind of one and done it after that, unless you're going to like go really deep into some kind of lore. Otherwise, you're just keep recreating the same scenario over and over again.
Oh yeah, I totally acknowledge that one's basically just a remake of the first movie, only on another planet. But at the end of the day, I agree with you guys more so that there's just really only been 2 really decent movies, and the rest are for the most part. So yeah, but yeah. So anything else to say about Predator?
Yeah.
All right. I'm dreaming of a white Christmas. The musical. It wasn't already a musical. I'm so confused.
Yeah, this is this is the on Broadway version of it, which was
What about the
different.
on-off on Broadway version?
Yeah, on off on off
Mhm.
on. This one wasn't so much Bing XK. This was
Have yourself a
Exactly.
merry little Christmas. Do they sing that there or no?
I think so. Yeah, Gary
believe that's
Busey.
in
I
that
think.
Gary
stars in
Busey
this
was in
one.
White Christmas.
And
Oh,
Tox likes
he
it.
should have been. He should have been.
Yeah, he should have
We
been.
knew-
Damn.
We knew Tox liked it.
Yeah, this
This
was
is
their
no
number 2.
surprise.
This is the Jet Li version.
It could be Gary
Jet Li
Busey,
version.
Gary Busey and Steven Seagal in White Christmas.
Oh, I could see that. Steven Seagal could fake like he's doing some kind of jujitsu or something.
All snow is it's crystallized. It's crystallized water. It's not. It's not anything different. I don't know why we call it anything other than
White
crystallized
Christmas
water.
was about to turn red.
That's right. Krampus. Or whatever.
Snow back in my time was cocaine.
Don't sniff the yellow cocaine.
I'd put it in my nose and it felt good. That's my Gary Busey. Anyway, 70s rock fans number 2 is the Woo from Werewolves of
Thought I'd
London.
break up the space stuff. Throw one of these in. And again, like some of the other movies we mentioned, a seminal, groundbreaking practical effects by Rick Baker, making an incredibly memorable creature. Not overused, of course. It's only seen in certain parts of the movie, but that transformation sequence alone is just, I don't know. I mean, it was the greatest thing I'd ever seen when I saw it the first time. But fantastic. Unlike previous werewolves, which which of course they hadn't been a bad job. I mean, the Oliver Reed one was pretty good, the Hammer horror one, and all the old Universals. But this was just different because it didn't try to look human. It wasn't a guy with some whiskers on, It was a full-on werewolf creature and just incredible, powerful, scary, very hairy, a bit like Tom.
Yeah, the
Not
part that
wrong.
always got me watching it was just the way that through the prosthetics and the animatronics, the puppetry and everything, the pain of the transformation process comes through. It's not this gradual, like Lon Chaney, just like hair suddenly appears and fades in. It's this, it's sort of like we're talking about Cronenberg and sort of like body horror. It's this physical, painful, bone cracking metamorphosis that you see all the bits and
Oh
pieces
yeah,
of.
the sound
And
of it. Yeah,
yeah, and the part for me is when his face, the snout starts coming out. And it's like, oh my god! It's just
Yeah.
like it really. I think it was the first werewolf movie where I felt like this is a curse.
Yeah.
This is the thing.
an
It's like,
actual
yeah,
werewolf. Yeah,
yeah. It's not just that I have a sudden injection of
It's
Rogaine
so
on every
visceral.
once
You
a
can
month or
feel
something.
the transformation.
Exactly.
And I agree.
Yeah,
It
exactly.
is. It is. Yeah, you can. It is an amazing, and
Yeah.
it still hasn't been topped.
I don't
No
think so.
CGI could
I
ever.
don't think so. Yeah,
No.
yeah. And as somebody
Even
mentioned,
knowing how it's
Rick
done.
Mail was indeed in the pub in the early scenes.
Oh, was he?
Yep.
Oh, good.
And
And
we
not-
wouldn't have had Thriller without it, so it's cool.
That's true too. I mean,
That's
that's
true,
probably
yeah.
the only closest thing to it. Although it's not nearly as good, but it is
Yeah.
pretty good. But it's much quicker and not as.
Right,
But
but I
as-
mean, Michael Jackson saw this and then wanted Thriller and wanted
Absolutely.
right. So I mean, without him seeing this movie,
That
Probably
video
would
wouldn't exist. You're
happen.
totally right.
But leaving aside that it's a magnificent movie in all respects, the creature itself is
Well, even the makeup and
tremendous.
puppetry
Yeah.
work that's done for the guy, I just forgot his name, his friend that gets killed.
Griffin Dunn or whatever.
Griffin Dunn.
Griffin Dunn, yeah, the
Griffin
Griffin
Dunn.
Dunn characters.
Oh, that makeup's
You know,
great
as he's
too.
slowly not slowly, but quickly
Disintegrating.
decomposing, you know, there to the point where he's just like a skeleton at the end of the. Like that's the great,
Yeah.
you know, that's some great work there too that always gets overlooked.
I just love his sense of humor while the whole thing's happening.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Which is
I
one
mean,
of the weird
it's-
reasons why I think my dad likes this movie because he fucking hates horror. Like, really does not like gory films, especially considering what he went through in Vietnam. So I can understand why. But this is just one of those rare films that he actually does enjoy, and I'm kind of surprised. But I think it's the humor. I think that it has that sense of humor,
That's right.
and that the werewolf creature is such a monster and not like the typical wolf man.
Yeah, it's not a man in a suit, which is it looks like a werewolf. You would like to think that's what they looked like from a distance. You wouldn't want to be close up. But beauty tamed the beast in the end, kind of. You know,
Yeah. It's a werewolf, not a wolf man. That's
That's
I think
right.
that's kind of
It's
that's
not a
that's
wolf
a
man.
distinction. Yeah, it's not a wolf man, it's a werewolf.
That's something else I've got completely
Yeah, great
unrelated
stuff.
to this.
classic.
Anyway,
movie.
moving on, we've got number 2 on my list and number 2 on Tox's list. Godzilla -1. Probably one of the best movies of last year and the best Godzilla film since the original, in my opinion. I mean, what can we say that what we haven't said already about this film in the last few months? So yeah, I'll let you kind of take it, Tox, because I know we got a member that has to leave here soon, so keep it kind of brief. Or he stepped away for a moment, so he'll hopefully be back to throw in his 2 cents on it, or we'll come back around to it for him. But yeah, no,
it's a good movie.
I mean,
Fantastic movie.
movies go. I mean, this proves that they don't have to just be goofy or fun, or this movie was
Raise the bar.
definitely raised the bar. Definitely raised the bar higher than it's ever. And I thought Shin Godzilla had rose the bar to about as high as it could with this, like taking it seriously. But -1 even upped that ante. So I'm really curious to see where it goes from here. But yeah, I mean, just in general, how the creature's treated, how Godzilla, is performed, and the story around him. I mean, like I said, what can we say about this movie that hasn't been said in the last few months? If you didn't get a chance to see it, I pity you. But hopefully you'll get to see it soon when it comes on to disc eventually here in the next few months, hopefully. Yeah, I don't know if Tox is back or not.
Greatest Godzilla film of all time.
Yeah.
Hands down. Not even close. Greatest Godzilla film of all time, which you think would automatically make it the number 1 monster movie, in my opinion. It does not, for one very good reason. At least I think it's a good reason. We get up from there, but what a phenomenal film. Continues to make money. Won an Oscar. I mean, their budget, they won an Oscar for visual effects. Come on. They schooled Hollywood with this film.
It
Hollywood,
rose the bar so
Vancouver,
high.
you name it, they destroyed them.
It rose the bar so high it rose the Roseanne bar.
Oh, there it is.
That's right.
You know,
But,
kind of reminded me of the all the praise for this. Now, I have to confess, I have not seen it yet. I have not. But just from the trailers and everything, and seeing the budget and all that, I was just like, when they started talking about how good the special effects are as compared to, say, a Marvel film and all these other things where it looks terrible, I couldn't help but think about all those instances where they'll do some kind of like The Irishman, where they do like the de-aging of Robert De Niro, and it looks really plastic. And then some guy with his PC on a YouTube channel does his own de-aging thing for like $10.
right.
And it looks 20,000 times better than what Hollywood produced. It really is something.
No, this movie tricked me, and I am a tough guy to trick
Mhm.
when it comes to CGI versus practical effects. Like I did not know that there was as much practical effects in this movie going into it. And I mean, I can tell certain things that are CGI, but there's things that I'm like, that can't be CGI, but maybe it is. And it turns out it wasn't in certain instances. But
Mm.
I mean, they just did such a beautiful job of blending everything so well that, I mean, honestly, like probably one of the worst shots in the movie is the one that I have in the opening of this, in the intro thing, and that's still a magnificent shot, right? Like that's my whole point. Is like even the worst shots look better than the best Marvel shot in any day of the week.
Yeah.
But yeah,
True.
what can be said
Great
that
film.
hasn't been said about it? We'll definitely come back around to it again, I'm sure. But we are losing Scribbles here in a few minutes, so I wanted to get back to his.
I'm still waiting for a notice or a
Okay,
text or
well, it's good
something,
because
so.
you got it.
Yeah. I mean, my number one, of course. You know,
you got White
I mean,
Christmas.
yeah, Danny Kaye and Bing Crosby going at it head to head on Christmas Day. You know, Danny Kaye's got his sharpened candy cane, and you know, Bing's
Danny
got his
fucking Kaye.
Bing's got his golf club, and they're just going at it. And Rosemary Clooney is trying to get in between, but you know, oh man, when Danny Kaye misses that stab and gets Rosemary right in the chest, I tell you, it's just a
I
bloody
felt
white
it go
Christmas.
through my heart too.
I
did.
know, right? I know. There's only so many perfect breasts in the world. It's a be shame to ruin those. But anyway, yeah.
No.
Yeah.
You could hear them.
Wow. Then we have Price is number one. Not Alien, but Aliens, not to be confused with 70s number 3. Or is this 70s number 3?
I kind of tried to do both, but I settled on Aliens.
I wasn't. That's what I was trying to figure out.
Yeah, because of the Xenomorph Queen, of course. Really.
Okay. So
Xenomorph Queen.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, good point.
I had seen that you chose Alien, so I wanted to make it clear because I didn't want another Danny Kaye situation. But, but at the end, you chose it anyways. But at least I'm number one with Aliens. Yeah, I had to decide if I liked Alien or Aliens better. I really like them both, but somehow Aliens, I like it just a little bit more. I can't tell you exactly why.
Because there's lots of them, and you got the Queen,
and you've got the Queen,
and more action, and somehow it was James Cameron during his prime. I think he really delivered there. I don't know.
The Queen, to me, you took that design, that not simplistic, but that amazing design that the Geiger design from the first film, and you extrapolated from there what a Queen was, and it just looks
right,
fucking intense.
It's a rare sequel that really does such a good job, but anything after that movie has always been a diminishing return.
Yeah, I agree. Brian, since it's on your list, anything to say?
Yeah, I mean, really, whilst the Aliens, the Xeno, depending on your point of view, Xenomorphs are brilliant and scary as fuck. The Queen is just a magnificent creation in all its glory, and the fact that you only see it at a certain point in the movie makes it all the better. It's worth waiting for. Brilliant creation, absolutely alien in nature and monstrous to a human and scary as fuck.
And it's a great scenes. Those scenes in the end of that film.
Yeah.
Like, because you have that moment when she's got Newt and the Queen's like coming at her, just looking at her. And that we're looking at in this scene here that's in the poster, actually. And you got the little drones that come in from each angle surrounding her. And she basically, she doesn't have to do much. She just makes that notion like, back them off, bitch, or I'm going to burn all these fucking eggs. And so she backs them off. And then she realizes as she's stepping out, she double crossed her ass, and that fucking egg opens up. She's like, all right, bitch, now it's on. Like, that scene is so amazing, and not a word is said. Not one word.
Nope.
But you know exactly what's being said between these two mothers.
Right.
It's brilliant. I mean, it's hard to state how good that scene is.
But it also tells you that, at least in this instance, at least the Queen's instance, whereas in the first movie, the creature is intelligent but a savage animal.
Yes.
The Queen is of a higher order, obviously, and has a much more nuanced appreciation for the world around her, and makes her a much more interesting. Even though, like you say, we only meet her like in the last 10 minutes of the movie, basically, makes her a much more formidable foe for Ripley. And Ripley sees that too. Is just like, okay, this is much more aware. This isn't some kind of slobbering monster.
It's a hive mind kind of thing, right? Totally changes how you think about the aliens, how you view them, all within one scene, right? And they didn't have to do a lot of dialogue to make that happen.
See, I always wondered, and I know this might be sort of like, there you go. I always had a theory.
I thought that was Brian's sex life. Is that not sorry.
Which one, though? Who are you talking about?
Yeah, which one's Brian?
I've seen you in both. Imp suit and the aggressor.
I had a fan theory for a while that the Queen recognized Ripley because the original alien drone and the hive mind thing like gave her a sense across the space or something that she had an enemy out there. I always thought that might be interesting, but it's complete headcanon.
That's not what Prometheus said.
Yeah, that's not what Prometheus said. No, but in general, I just like that because you're right. You brought home my point, and that was like in the first film, we get this animalistic kind of thing out of it, but in this film with the mother, like you said, she can reason. Not only does she reason, she double crosses her ass, and then she pays the price, right? So it's like it's just a brilliant scene in how she's set up and how she's more manipulative and conniving and smart than the actual drones are. It's brilliantly done. So yeah. But anyway, was there anything more to say about Aliens?
No, but it kicks ass. One of the greatest movies ever made in history of all movies of any genre, even Christmas musicals.
Oh my God.
Screw you, 70s. I'll drop you off this stream, buddy.
Well, we're nearly done anyway.
Christmas. No, that's right. We're ending.
Flu X 70s. What?
There we go. 70s X flu.
X flu. Fluid. X fluid.
Don't cross the streams.
I gotta go, guys, but I'll be back hopefully in the next 10 minutes or so. So fortunately,
well, that might wrap around. Yeah.
Good luck with your plunger.
Yeah.
Oh, look.
Bye, man.
Sorry about that, Scribbles. I know he's having some issues, but we got number one on Tox's list, and I can understand now what he was saying before. I heard that. Number one is Godzilla from 1954, and I can understand
1954, the original.
Go,
54 was a good year for monster films. Creature from the Black Lagoon, Godzilla. Yeah, all over. It just showed how King Kong, Mighty Joe Young, Nosferatu, all the things that we have talked about before that came in the 20s and the 30s and the 40s, how it had really gotten it going worldwide across. And so Japan, coming out of the World War II, they had, of course, the atomic bombs that were dropped and those kind of things. And that's the story. Godzilla is a monster created from the atomic bombs, comes up and decides to destroy Tokyo again. And the first time I saw this film, it was the Americanized version with Raymond Burr, which is good, but is definitely not the same as the 54 original. So I've seen this in the original Japanese with subtitles multiple times. And it just kind of raised the bar with the atomic breath and the train scene that they have in here, and a lot of the miniature work that's done in this film. And there's suspense to this, and how this stuff shows up, and how Godzilla shows up. When you finally see the monster coming over the top of the mountain, and everything, and everyone running away and all stuff, it's really great. And everything they tried to do and all this. And I talked about Notzilla on a stream with comics a couple of weeks ago, and there's a spoof movie that came out 2020 or something like that called Notzilla that follows what the same. It's not shot for shot, but it's the same stuff that they did with Godzilla trying to electrify Tokyo and all that stuff, 1954. Only it's in Cincinnati, Ohio, which is funny, but the -1 film is much better than this. I would expect it to be, given 70 years difference, but they really both capture a lot of 70th anniversary. Yeah, they really capture, both of them, the people of Tokyo. There's a lot of people running around in Tokyo and scared, fear, and all that stuff going on in this movie, and their never say die attitude, and they're going to rebuild. There was a lot of we'll rebuild after this kind of stuff from there, and you got that out of -1. So the greatest monster movies of all time to me are Godzilla 1954 and -1.
Yeah, I mean, this is only one of the handful of the films to actually take it seriously as well. So
I like
right.
it.
I mean, there's a lot of camp films that are great with this, that are funny, but this was a serious one there.
I've only seen this one. I've seen Godzilla 1985, and then the newer ones, American ones, and Godzilla -1. And maybe after Godzilla -1, I like this one. But when I put it in context, like the history of cinema, I agree this one has to be the one that gets more credit than Godzilla -1, because it kind of just invented something.
That'll kind of actually lead into my number one, which I think is a lot of other people's X's that we've been seeing here. So we'll keep moving along to that. But yeah, no. Anything else to say about
Launch Toho? I mean, I just watched the 2010 Space Battleship Malmato live action yesterday, and you could see what they did in there and getting better, and how what they did with that movie, and I could see some of that in -1. The more connection with the people from there. So there was a poster I wanted to use here. It was all in Japanese to kind of show the difference from there, and I decided I'd use this one with the atomic breath in the film. That was really, to me, the differentiator between the other monsters. Was Godzilla 30 foot tall, get it, all that stuff, but had this atomic breath that I think set him out for me.
Yeah, it kicked off the kaiju genre. Sort of. I mean, Kong technically did, but this
film lost money, but it is well. No, it didn't actually. It was in. I think it made $1 million.
I think it did all right in the U.S. too. Yeah. But all right, keep moving along. We got number one on 70s rock fans list, The Thing.
Oh, I mean, it's so hard to choose between a film like this and a film like Aliens. They're just such all-time classics. The funny thing about this one is that the monster, you don't really see the monster as the monster that often. It's in human form, or indeed canine form at times. And that actually makes it even more scary, the not knowing where it is or who it is. But when you do see it, particularly when it's bursting out of somebody's chest, it's pretty freaking phenomenal. And again, brilliant practical effects. Just so scary. It's so good. I remember watching it in the cinema when it came out, and I was actually cheering at various points. I think people must have thought I was mad. I probably was actually cheering. I was like, "Oh, did you see that? That was how good is that?" Yeah, fantastic. I mean, what can you say? It's John Carpenter, Kurt Russell, and a great cast. Fantastic practical effects, suspenseful, humorous. It's got everything. What a movie, and what a creature. What a brilliant creature. Scary.
Yeah. Also, this was number 2 on Price's list.
And it's funny because I like John Carpenter, and somehow this is a movie that I slept on for many years, and only in maybe in the past 5 years or something, I finally saw it and I really, really liked it. And it was so weird for me that I'd never seen it before, but it's a great movie and I really like it.
I don't know if Scribbles is back yet.
It's hard. We talk about this movie here and in other shows a lot. It's because it's so good, and it's hard to come up with new ways of saying that. So it's just a fucking great movie with a scary monster creature that has the better of the humans in it, and I don't know. I mean,
it's
don't
ahead
know
of its
the
time.
words.
It's just ahead of its time. This movie,
well ahead of its time.
Well,
Again,
it's a good
seminal.
remake.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a good remake. It's a good Kurt Russell film. It's a good horror film. It's a good monster film.
The practical effects are awesome.
Yeah, it's a great special effects film all the way across the board. And a lot of suspense. You could call this a suspense film too.
Yeah, and I'm not sure there may have been many other, I can't think right now, many other movies where the creature disguised itself as humans and other things. There'll be a million of them, and they'll come to mind in a minute. But it's possibly
Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Yeah, that's one. I think this one takes the horror of that to an even different level.
Yeah,
it's the definitive one of its kind, I think. With Invasion of the Body Snatchers, a good second, of course. The thing about those was he didn't really see, other than the pods, what the original creatures were, or aliens were. You just saw they're human. They ended up as humans. This one, you do get a glimpse, in fact, of some very good looks at the actual creature. If indeed that is what it really looks like, because maybe it just looks like somebody's intestines gone wild. I don't know. It's the definitive of its kind, I think, and always will be.
Excellent. Scribe Light, you back yet? No, I don't think he is. All right, we'll have to come back around to him. Moving on here, we've got my number 1 and Tox's number 4, the granddaddy of them all, King Kong, the 1933 classic. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to imagine movie monsters without King Kong kind of kicking it into high gear. Just a phenomenal performance by stop motion creature. And it still echoes to this day in cinema. In fact, part of the reason we're talking about this whole list here is because he's in theaters right now in the number 1 film. So yeah, the Kong is still king. But Tox, it was your number 4.
1933. There was a lot that came before all this, but this was
you were just a lad then, right?
Yeah, I was very small. My dad hadn't been born yet at this time, but my grandma. This is a movie. It really is generational. So, in '33, this is a movie my grandmother went to go see as a teen. Then The Creature from the Black Lagoon, my dad went to go see as a teen, and then for me, Godzilla as I'm talking 12, 13 years old, right? Teen, preteen,
right?
And then Godzilla for me. So those films all build on each other from that standpoint. And you can see the stop motion here and the things he did, and there were others. The reason this is, I think, the Creature from 20,000 Fathoms or 10,000 Fathoms is the image that's behind us, this stuff. It was a huge film at the time, and it just started an entire industry off there. Am I a big fan of Kong? No, but the movie itself, it's a phenomenal film.
I would have put it on my list, but the thing is that I haven't seen the first King Kong in so many years that I feel like I need a rewatch, and it wouldn't have been fair if I put it on the list without a more recent rewatch. But obviously, King Kong it's another iconic cinematic film.
Well,
do yourself a favor and rewatch it, because not just for the special effects, which were way, were innovative for the time. The story is so tight, right? Like it's hard to believe that a film like that with such a great tight story was done back then compared to like today's standards are actually like more like basically the better times of film. And that's why I think King Kong has been remade so many times, because it does lend itself so well.
I remember
cinema.
the Peter Jackson one because that one is more recent. So I remember that he tried to sort of remake this movie, I guess.
He did, and he just basically bloated it with his, which is, I mean, I like it, but it is a very pretentious version of the story.
It's pretentious. I didn't hate it. Just so you know that I know that people don't love that Peter Jackson Kong movie. I didn't hate it.
I actually like it quite a bit, and I like all the. There's not one, like my least favorite Kong is probably the King Kong Escapes. The Toho one.
Really?
It's probably my least favorite.
Which is the one with the Big Lebowski and Jessica
that'd be the
Lange.
76 Dino De Laurentiis one, yeah.
I didn't mind that one.
That's the one I grew up on. So, but,
I grew up on it also. I haven't seen it in years, but recently I ran into it maybe on TV or in something. I don't know how I ran into it, and just seeing the dude there is funny. I don't know, like it's HD. Like
I have. Speaking of, like Scribe brought up, like having like movie theories. I have this theory that the dude is basically is Jeff Bridges' character from King Kong, and he's just seen so much shit.
That's awesome. Right. That's awesome. You're right. And he has the same vibe in that movie. He's totally the dude there.
He is like a young version of the dude. Like he started out like he's ambitious. He wants to save the world. He's a, he's an environmentalist. He's a bit of a hippie, or really a hippie.
I feel like that's why they cast him in the movie. The
Jessica
Coen
Lange
brothers
fucked him over, and the shit with Kong just kind of set him down the path that he is now the dude.
And I think even Jessica Lange, that's probably her in her heyday, right? I think she.
And the thing that ties it all together is the rug
the
rug was made out of Kong. It was a piece of Kong.
It held the room together.
It held the room together.
Oh, that's good. I like that.
It's all I have.
It's another
left,
RKO.
Man.
Yeah, it's another RKO Radio Pictures. RKO was such a influential filmmaker in the early parts of the 20th century, the 20s, 30s, 40s.
It really
50s.
did tie the room together.
Yeah, it did. A lot of good stuff, and they had to make money
on your King Kong rug, dude.
Oh,
it was my fucking Kong rug, man. I want to watch that movie. I don't know if we're gonna get Scribe back here in time, but we got a couple super chats, and then we'll send you guys over to Culture Casino. We've got Jian Hu, if I'm saying that right, with an owl there, so it would be Jian Hu 742. Odd amount, but thank you for that. This is my list: Creature from the Black Lagoon, Mimic, Godzilla, The Thing, The H-Man, and The Blob, with a tie between those two. Excellent choices. And Jason Webster picks number 5, King Kong 2005. So see, he likes it too. The Fly from 86, Jaws, The Thing, and Godzilla -1. Oh, very good list. I like your list, Jason. That's excellent
good list.
And with that, I think I don't know if we're gonna get Scribe back to talk Thing, but we've talked about The Thing. Everybody has a million times over, so I don't think he's gonna get his feelings hurt too bad. But somebody who might get their feelings hurt thinking of Culture, he is the new star of The Brown Mist.
The Brown Mist. I'm so sorry.
No one saw it coming.
It'll be over in a minute, I swear.
But they heard it.
The people are really responding to that tweet. No one will be safe from the stench.
No one saw it coming, but they smelled it.
Culture Casino is silent but deadly.
And
So
there's
thank you for
only
that,
one man
release
that
McCracken.
can stop
Go
it.
ahead.
No, I was just
And
doing
that is-
the announcement. Only
that
one
is-
man could stop it. They always used to have that.
Imodium
division.
Man. Yeah, only Imodium Man can stop a Culture Casino.
Culture
Imodium Man.
Casino in.
Brown Mist,
We totally need a trailer.
based on the book by Stephen King.
You could do a disaster movie version where the butt plug is on the verge of breaking, and the gas will be.
It was Stephen King's greatest scratch and sniff novel of all time. Sadly,
That's
as most
funny.
people died before the end of the book of inhalation. No, I think Scribe unfortunately has got to deal with his issues over there. So I want to thank him for being here. Check out his channel. He does TED Talks and some other good stuff over there. And I want to thank him for joining us tonight. And I also want to thank Brian for being here. What do you got coming up? Something going on tomorrow?
No, I'm not doing a show tomorrow because I'm taking a break because Tuesday obviously is Vegas. So I will be on Comics.
You're taking off.
Yeah, I'll be on Comics Division tomorrow night, but no show of my own. I've got a few videos out this week people could check out if they wish.
All right.
Thank you everyone for being here and for supporting this show.
Yes, indeed. We're glad to have you. Price, what do you got coming up?
What do I got coming up? Tomorrow, I'm doing some kind of hanging out with friends and doing something. I think we're watching a movie. I struggle to remember what movie it is that we're watching, but it's my friend Cannoli Sasquatch on his channel.
I love him.
He's a really nice guy, and I'm going to be hanging out there with some people and watching a movie. I'll post on my Twitter whatever that movie is. Sorry, Cannoli. Then on Tuesday, of course, Midnight's Edge After Dark. After that, I'll be watching Scavenger's Reign with Diabolical Souls, also known as Gooch. And then there'll be kind of a late night stream. So those are the upcoming things in the next few days. Late night stream with my friend Dread Roberts. Nobody's going to remember any of this. You know what? I'm just going to post on my Twitter, and hopefully people. I just rambled now. Nobody got anything.
We love you, Price.
Post on Twitter what I'm going to do, and
follow his Twitter.
Yes,
and be sure to subscribe to his channels on the YouTubes. And last but definitely not least, Toxic Man Flu. What you got going on? Our producer extraordinary.
I'm going to be heading over to Culture Stream for a little bit tonight. Will not be in Vegas, unfortunately. I've got some other things that I have to deal with family-wise. But hopefully everybody has a good time. Go stop by if you're going to be at the Millennium Fandom Bar on Wednesday or Thursday, and stop by Culture Casino, and Comics Division will be there. They'll have some one-of-a-kind merch and stuff there that you can get a hold of, and some gear, some really nice hats. And we'll be doing Monday Meltdown tomorrow. I'm not sure if we'll be doing Wednesday Yelling Park Cars because they'll be at the meetup. Same thing with Thursday TNT. Now, Nick might be doing something on Thursday. We'll kind of work some of that out from there. And then, of course, Friday Night Nights with the crew while they're out there in Vegas. Good stuff.
Awesome sauce. And yeah, I may pop into Cultures here, but we'll see. With that, though, take care of yourselves and each other, and I'll definitely see you on the morning show. See you guys.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.